Young. I'm a 200-hour registered yoga instructor, and we're here at Intention Studio in Prescott, Arizona today. I wanted to bring to you some yoga postures and stretches to help stretch out your quadriceps. I've noticed it in my practice and in the normal activities that I take on that my quadriceps tend to be tight. And I noticed too that sometimes throughout a yoga practice we focus a lot on hamstrings, a lot on core strength, and a lot on opening our shoulders, and sometimes those quadriceps get skipped. And so I just wanted to bring a little bit of that to you today. We're going to start today in child's pose. So you'll make your way to one end of your mat and bring your toes to touch. And then it's up to you whether you bring your knees together or whether you leave them wide on your mat. And then reach your fingers forward on your mat and send your hips back toward your heels. And we'll spend a few breaths here, kind of finding what feels best, drawing your hips down towards your heels, maybe resting your forehead on the floor. If your forehead doesn't quite reach, you can always take a block and place that right underneath that space between your eyebrows, so that your neck isn't straining. We'll find a few deep breaths here. So even though we are focusing on quadriceps today, you can't really do one thing in yoga. You're always working on many things at once. And we always want to breathe deeply while we're doing that. So try to breathe in a 360-degree way here, where your chest reaches toward the floor, that space between your shoulder blades lifts toward the ceiling, and your ribs expand out to the side. And so for some of us, being here in child's pose might be a lot of tension across the quadriceps here, across the tops of your thigh. Many of us too are tight on the front of our shin, so that opening of the ankle can be uncomfortable. So you might stay here for a few more breaths, knowing that as you breathe, you might find more comfort. And sometimes if it's too uncomfortable, that might signal to you that you should spend just a little bit more time and breathe more deeply. And then from here, we'll just transition, come up onto your knees, shift your weight forward. We're not going to move through downward facing dog today, but what we will do is step the left foot to the top of your space, or you choose which foot. You can move forward. You do want to move that foot far enough forward that it's underneath your knee. And then your back knee here is going to be on the mat. And I have a handy little blanket here that I'm going to use to cushion that knee. So if that is uncomfortable for you, I encourage you to find some cushion to place there. So with my ankle right underneath my knee, my hips square to the top of my mat, this floor might feel a little bit far away. Sometimes we tend to twist, and so our hips aren't even. So I encourage you to use a block. And remember, there are 3 dimensions to your block, so whatever works best for you to find a long spine. And sometimes this front knee wants to open up. We're going to try to plant that front foot and drive your knee forward over your toes. And again, find that deep breath. So even though we're in a low lunge here and we're really focused on what's happening in our hips and our legs and those muscles that are tight, we're always seeking out that long spine first. So find the dimension of the block that works for you. If you find that your gaze is coming back toward that knee, try to take your gaze at least to the top of your mat to draw your heart forward a little bit. And then you're sinking these hips down and forward. And the purpose of the block not only is to bring the floor closer to you, but to give you a little bit of support so you can relax in your hips and allow that stretch to open up your right quadriceps. You might notice that if you take your fingertips off that block, you tend to tighten up right away. We're trying to avoid that here. So spend a few breaths, and then when you're ready, we'll make our way to the other side. So again, use your support here on this block to extend your hips toward the back and switch out your legs. We'll send the right foot forward this time. Take your time setting up. You want that front heel underneath your right knee. And then the tendency here sometimes is to send the hips back because that left quadricep is tight. Again, we're gonna try to send the hips forward. So do whatever you need to do to cushion that back knee to find a little bit of comfort. Lift through your heart, big deep breath in. And settle in to that stretch on the left side. Again, using your block for stability to take some of that weight so that you can soften in your hips. If you find that you're starting to collapse in your spine and your hips start to shift backward, press them forward again, lift your heart, take your gaze ahead of your toes. Find a steady, even breath. And once you feel even, carefully make your way out of that low lunge. And we'll meet kneeling at the back of our mats. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this blanket here. So another stretch here for your quadriceps, hero's pose. So for some people, this is very uncomfortable. Some people, their quadriceps are so tight, this might be you, where you can't get your glutes to your heels. So this is where, again, this awesome prop comes in handy. You can place it right between your ankles. That might be long ways this way, or it might be long ways the other way. You can sit your hips right onto that block. So now you can relax in the rest of your body and allow that stretch to come into the fronts of your legs. Again, deep breath. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this block. But wherever you are, with or without your block, relax, take a few deep breaths. Maybe this is it for you today, and that's fine. If you feel that you could use a deeper stretch, then we're gonna take it into reclined hero's pose. My personal opinion and in my body, full reclined hero's pose is not for me. And I don't have all the props here to show you it safely. So what I'm going to do instead is just make it half. So in reclined heroes, typically you'd come all the way back on the mat here, but we're just gonna do one side. So send your left foot forward and just bend one leg. And then from here, maybe you can come back onto your elbows. And again, any prop that brings the floor a little bit closer to you and allows you to keep your core stability and keep your long spine is gonna be helpful. So as you lean back, the tendency here is for your back to really arch because your hip flexors are tight, and then your chin kind of draws to your chest and everything gets smaller and tighter, and that translates into tightness in your quadriceps too. So we're gonna try to relax, open your chest, breathe. You can sort of visualize the muscles of your quadriceps loosening, releasing. Visualization is sometimes just as useful as breath and as stretching. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we're even, so carefully coming up and out, extending that right leg, and then bringing your left leg back. And being aware that we're not even, we're not symmetrical, because we don't use the sides of our bodies the same way. So you might find that one side is a little bit tighter. Just honor what you find. Take a few deep breaths. Again, visualize your left quadriceps releasing. Again, I'm noticing here that my shoulders are starting to collapse, so do your best to keep your chest broad. Your arms might have to do some work here. And then once you feel even and ready, carefully come back up and out. Extend both legs, maybe give them a little bit of a shake to release your knees. So hopefully those are some options for you to stretch out your quadriceps. Like I said, sometimes in a yoga practice, we don't always get to them, and we need to spend as much time as we can stretching out all those muscles that we use so much. So thank you for joining me. Namaste.